Hello everyone, my name is Ali Balighi and I'm a doctorate student at Texas Tech University. My talk is titled The Role of Artificial Intelligence in Electroacoustic Score Generation. I'm looking at how AI can help us write and read scores for electroacoustic music. By electroacoustic, I mean music where sound, color, spatial movement, and bodily gesture are central and where the timeline is not always linear. In the traditional sense, these features don't fit staff notation very well. In this review, I focus on three domains where AI is active: symbolic scoring, spatial representation, and gestural mapping. I will outline what each approach can do, where it helps practice, and where it breaks down. The simple claim I want you to hold in mind is this: AI improves score legibility and workflow when systems are transparent and co designed with the people who will perform and interpret them. When AI is a black box or when it tries to replace human judgment entirely, we lose nuance and we also lose trust. My goal today is practical: to help you see which AI strategies are worth considering for your own projects and what design choices make them usable in rehearsal and performance. Let me start with the problem. Traditional staff notation was built for pitch, meter, and clearly segmented rhythm. Electroacoustic works often depend on non-linear time, complex and evolving terms, and movement in space. They may also rely on embodied gestures, the physical actions of performers, or interactive systems that don't map to notes on a staff. Because of this, many composers use plural notations, graphic scores, animated timelines, text instructions, or even interfaces that function as the score. These bespoke formats are creative, but they can also be hard to interpret consistently. Performers face a heavier interpretive burden. Rehearsals take longer because meaning must be negotiated, not simply read. Documentation and archiving also suffer, which makes works harder to restage. In short, the most important parameters for this repertoire, spectral shape, spatial trajectory, and gesture, are hard to encode in a fixed symbolic script. This, this mismatch is the reason people look to AI not to imitate composition but to translate, summarize, or line information so the score is clearer and performance is more reliable. To keep the talk focused, I'm using a purpose first frame rather than a tool first tool. I ask a simple question: what kind of guidance or interact does the score need to provide, and which AI methods help provide that? I organized the review into three domains. First, symbolic systems that generate or abstract musical symbols and structures. Second, spatial systems that represent or predict how sound moves through space. Third, gestural systems that connect bodily movement captured by sensors or cameras to musical events or score states. Across all three, I return to the same criteria: interpretability, And can performers and audience understand what they see? And agency. Do humans keep meaningful control? And ethics. Do the methods introduce bias or homogeneous style? I'm not trying to crown a winner. Instead, I want to show fit for purpose matches between needs and methods so you can select tools with clear expectations. Here is the map we'll use. Think of score format on one axis and AI rule on the other. For symbolic scores, AI tends to help with rule based generation, pattern discovery, and symbolic abstraction. For example, summarizing dense MIDI or even data into editable structures that performers can read. For graphic or animated scores, AI can bridge image and audio. It can learn features from drawings or moving images, line them with sound, and even provide temporal prediction, for example, indicating how a crown shape should evolve sonically over time so that performers can follow it in rehearsal. For gestural and spatial scores, AI works with sensors and recognition. It can identify motion patterns, map them to sonic events, and model trajectories in multi channel spaces. This is promising for pieces where movement is the musical material. There is no universal best format. Each family opens different AI opportunities and different risks. Your job as a composer or researcher is to match the AI role to the score's job. Clarify the function first, then choose methods that support that function. Let me summarize the main techniques and their trade offs. Symbolic modeling is strong when the input is stylized and discrete. It gives you structure and editability, useful for rehearsal. However, it often collapses continuous textures and embodied nuance into overly neat symbols. The output can feel correct on paper but wrong in performance. Audio transcription has improved, but it remains uneven for noise rich or highly layered materials. It tends to miss semantic intent and can flood you with macro events that performers cannot meaningfully act on without heavily post editing. Deep generative models, GANs, VAEs, transforms, excels at style and can connect visual and sonic domains, but they are opaque and data biased. They generalize poorly outside the training distribution and can homogenize aesthetics. Finally, gesture and spatial systems shine when you co design with performers. They enable expressive mapping and real time feedback, but they are sensitive to collaboration, latency, and the ambiguity of what a gesture means. The pattern here is clear. Each technique offers value, but each needs constraints and human oversight. Let's zoom in on deep generative models. GANs can produce striking mapping between images and sound just textures, but the decision path is hard to inspect. And VAEs provide smooth latent spaces that are nice for interpolation, but they can blur details and reduce resolution. And also transformers, including systems that link text or images to audio, are powerful at capturing long range structure, yet They depend heavily on the training corpus. Why does this matter for scores? Because in rehearsal, you must validate and control what the system suggests. If you cannot explain how a passage was produced, you cannot adjust it efficiently. If the dataset leans towards certain cultural or stylistic patterns, you may get homogenized results that don't fit your piece. Practical advice: treat these models as collaborators with guardrails. Constraints input like prompts and parameters and expose intermediate representation that performers can discuss. You will gain creative breadth without sacrificing rehearsal time or artistic identity. Note spatial and gestural intelligence, which I see as especially promising for electroacoustic practice. On the spatial side, AI can track sources, predict movement, and help generate trajectories for multi-channel arrays or ambisonic fields. This makes it easier to score how sound travels in the hall, not just which sound occurs. On the gestural sound, sorry, on the gestural side, sensors and cameras can translate movement into musical events or score states. This supports embodied composition, where a performer's body becomes part of the notation and the instrument. The pitfalls are practical. Systems may introduce latency, confuse gestures, false positives, or misclassification, and misexpressive intent. A raised arm can mean many different musical things depending on context. The design response is co-adaptive systems. Build correction loops so performers can relabel gestures, adjust thresholds, and refine mapping during rehearsal. Keep a simple fallback like a manual trigger so the performance is robust even if tracking drifts on stage. Two short cases make the landscape concrete. First, music LTM used with crowds treaties. Here, visual forms guide audio gesture. The model acts like an interpreter, turning abstract shapes into sound movements that performers can follow in real time. This demonstrates how image to audio learning can support animated or graphic scores. Second, Donohoe Plus functions as a real time co performer. It listens and responds, shaping timing and phrasing. This shows how AI can participate in performance without freezing the score into a fixed script. By contrast, Magenta and Flow machines are strong at style modeling, which is helpful for structural ideas, but they don't directly solve embodied real-time needs. Open Music and GNMISS are flexible, research-oriented environments, yet they require heavily integration and don't enforce standardized output for performance. The lesson is not that one platform is best, but that each implies different workflows. Choose based on whether you need offline structure, real time interaction, or a bridge between visuals, gestures, and space. Working with AI changes rules. Working with AI changes rules. Authorship is distributed among composers, performer, and system. In many projects, the composer becomes a curator or system tuner, deciding constraints and evaluating outputs rather than writing every note. Performers shift from reproducing a fixed score to exercising negotiated control in real time. We also need to name the ethical issues. Training data shape what the system considers normal. If the corpus is narrow, the output may bias style and homogenize results. If system decisions are hidden, performers cannot prepare effectively and audience cannot interpret what they hear. My target is a critical hybrid aesthetics. Use AI where it improves clarity or expand possibility, but keep the system legible. Document how outputs are made. Credit, credit human and machine contributions and make room for performer interpretation. In this frame, AI supports creativity without raising intention or diversity. I will close with practical steps. First, build hybrid notation that combines symbolic, graphic, spatial, and gestural layers. Use multimodal learning to keep these layers synchronized so performers always know what matters at a given moment. Second, move beyond developer showcases. Run performer and audience studies. Ask simple questions. What the score legible? Could performers prepare efficiently? Did the audience understand spatial movement and gesture? Third, expand your datasets and tools. Include non Western practices and varied production methods. This reduces cultural bias and broadens the range of possible outputs. Fourth, define evolution and transparency. Track legibility, fit spatial intelligibility, and creative novelty. Expose model decisions, show mapping thresholds and intermediate states in the score or the rehearsal tool. Three rules guide all of this. Co-design with performance from day one, expose how the model works, and optimize for rehearsal, not only the premiere. If we follow these rules, AI becomes a practical partner in electroacoustic scoring rather than an opaque spectacle. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. Have a good one.